The enlightened mind is an infinite mind that is not governed by the boundaries of space and time. Time is boundless, space is boundless, boundless means beyond boundaries, time has no boundary, space has no boundary, and the infinite mind too has no boundary. That infinite mind of an enlightened one becomes identified with or becomes one with the universal consciousness called as the cosmic mind. That consciousness is the universal sensitivity. Our sensitivity is limited. Our consciousness is limited. Consciousness is to know. But what we know is called knowledge, but the omniscience of the Buddha is not knowledge. It is beyond knowledge. The knowledge that one can gather is limited in space and time. We may know certain things of a certain period, within a limited period. Even historians can know things that happen within a limited period. A limited area means space. But the universal consciousness or the cosmic mind has no boundary. Once you become identified once you get enlightened, your mind becomes identified with that cosmic mind or the universal mind or the cosmic consciousness. Become one with that. That is why the Buddha's consciousness is called Sabbanyuta. Buddha is called Sabbanyu not in the meaning of being omniscient. According to Christianity, God is omniscient. God knows everything. Even in Islam, Allah knows everything. Even in Judaism, God knows everything. The God of the Jews, the God of the Muslims, the God of the Christians and Catholics has omniscience, knows everything. What we know is called knowledge. Knowledge is always limited because knowledge belongs to the dead past. Knowledge is different from the knowing. Knowing is of the present moment. That present moment becomes, in fact, infinite. Infinity of the present moment is realized by an enlightened one called the Buddha. It is not knowledge that referred to as Sabbanyuta Jnana. The capacity for knowing, that is sensitivity, that is awareness, that awareness is here and now. Seeing things here by that consciousness or being aware of things here is called ehipassiko. Enlightened mind can see here, now. Now means sanditiko. Ehipassiko, sanditiko. Here and now, the consciousness or the awareness or the sensitivity of an enlightened mind is infinite. That is why Buddha saw here and now how the Buddha Dipankara, who lived Sara Sanke Kalpa Laksa, thousands and thousands of years back, long period beyond calculation. Such a time long, long ago when the Gautam Buddha was a potential Buddha, he was an ascetic called Sumedha. He was lying down on some muddy spot in the path, for the Buddha called at that time Dipankara to cross that muddy area. And Reverend the Dipankara Buddha saw this is not Sumedha, this is the Gautam Buddha who will get enlightened in our times, in our year, in this kalpa, on this earth. That is, after thousands and thousands and thousands, millions and billions of years away in the future. For the enlightened one called Dipankara Buddha, there is no limitations in time. There is no limitation space also for a Buddha. Everything far away, the enlightened mind can see as it is here. Everything far away in the past or in the future, the enlightened one can see as if it is now. And that is super sensitivity, boundless sensitivity. In the path of enlightenment, one develops that sensitivity. Awareness is being conscious. Sensitivity means consciousness. Buddha is called omniscient not because he knows everything, but because he has the capacity to know anything through his extreme, boundless sensitivity. With that sensitivity, Buddha can become one with anything or any being. Buddha can become one with the sun or the moon, the past or the future, or any person. Self-identification with other things and other beings, dissolving oneself with others. Enlightened ones are called anatta. They have no their own self. They are selfless. That means they have become part and parcel of every self, everything. And this universal consciousness or the universal mind or the cosmic is also has taken the attention of the modern scientists. They also have realized the entire universe, the boundless universe, is governed by certain principles, certain consciousness, certain mind, awareness. not only the universe, because there's a certain pattern, certain method, certain system in every item and in the whole universe. Even in an atom or a subatomic particle, the minor thing, there's a certain pattern. They are active, they are conscious. Animals are conscious in that way. Plants are conscious. Not only plants, every matter is conscious, because every matter is active every moment. Atoms are active. Electrons are active. Protons are active. Neutrons are active. Quarks are active. Even spinning strings, according to the latest string theory, they are active. With that sensitivity, Buddha could know anything that is necessary. But Buddha has revealed to us not everything he has become conscious of, but only what is necessary for us to get enlightened. That is what he uttered at the Sinsapa Sutta. In the Sinsapa Sutta, he got hold of some leaves while he was traveling in a forest, and showing the handful of leaves in his hand, he asked the monks, "What do you think? You have more leaves in my hand or in the forest?" They say, "In the forest." Then he said, "What I have taught is compared to the little amount of leaves in my hand. What I know can be compared to the leaves in the forest, or it may be much more than that." And he said, "I told you of very little of what I know. I told you only the Four Noble Truths." These are the words used by Buddha in the Sinsapa Sutta of Samyutta Nikaya. In the Sinhalese Tripitaka canon, it is the volume 5 of Samyutta Nikaya, the canon. On page 294 in that book, this is what says, what he has taught. Idan dukkhanti. I told you this is dukkha. I am dukkha samudayati. I have told you only this is dukkha samudaya, the cause of suffering. I have taught you what suffering is. Dukkha is translated in English as suffering, but it is not a complete good translation. It doesn't carry the complete meaning of the Pali word dukkha, but for the moment, let us confine to the English meaning. I have told you what suffering is. I have told you the cause of suffering, dukkha samayodhyati. I am dukkha nirodhiti. I told you this is the end of suffering, ending of suffering I have taught you. I am dukkha nirodha gamani patipadati. I have told you the technique of ending suffering, the way of ending suffering. Only that Four Noble Truths he taught for 45 years, nothing other than the Four Noble Truths. But he could knew everything. In fact, for example, if number of discourses, for example, in the Patika Sutta of Digha Nikaya, in the Satta Surya Gamana Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya, in the Sampasadaniya Sutta of Digha Nikaya, in the Mahapunyabhaya Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya, in the Brahmajala Sutra of Digha Nikaya, in the Aganya Sutra of Digha Nikaya. Right? In number of sutras, he explained the Big Bang, the expansion of the universe by the Big Bang of a black hole. And also, he has explained the contraction of the universe into a black hole again, small dot. In that, the word he has used is kappo samvartati. First, kappo vivartati. Kappo vivartati is expansion of the period. Then, kappo vivarto tittati. It gets expanded and it remains expanded. Then, after a long time, asankhe kalpa, kappo samvartati. It contracts. Kappo samvarto tittati. It remains contract in a black hole. In all these sutras, he used the same words to describe the expansion and the contraction of the universe. It was in 1988, the scientist Stephen Hawking wrote a book called A Brief History of Time, from the Big Bang to the Big Crunch. But Buddha, more than 2,600 years back, in number of discourses, he explained the expansion and contraction of the universe. It was not even 100 years now. It was in 1929, Edwin Hubble used a telescope and discovered the universe is expanding. Galaxies are moving away from each other. But Buddha knew it, scientists knew it less than 100 years back. Buddha knew it more than 2,600 years back. Not looking at the universe through a telescope like Edwin Hubble, but through his insight, his infinite sensitivity of knowing. In fact, Buddha said, everything is born to decay and die, doom. Everything that is composed becomes decomposed. That is called anicca. Nothing is permanent. But the philosopher that lived in the 5th century BC believed everything is made by atoms that cannot be destroyed. In fact, not even 100 years yet, scientists discovered that the atom or two can be destroyed. They can blow off the nucleus of an atom. In fact, it was in 1919, Ernest Rutherford smashed a nitrogen atom, the nucleus of a nitrogen atom. Ernest Rutherford made one electron and one proton. He smashed that atom, not even 100 years back. Less than a century they destroyed it. So that knowledge of the Buddha is so marvelous. And that knowledge is akin to the cosmic knowledge. The universe is conscious, that means the Buddha has got himself one with the universe, one with the universal consciousness. The greatest scientist called Sir James Jeans, a British scientist, who lived in the last century. He lived from 1877 to 1946. He was an eminent physicist who got a Nobel Prize. I just refer to two of his statements. In one statement he says, when an electron vibrates, universe shakes. The entire universe knows the vibration of an electron. That means we think we are separate from the rest of the universe. We are part and parcel of the universe. When there is little vibration in an electron in us, the entire universe becomes conscious of it. That is the universal love. When an electron vibrates, universe shakes. These are the words of Sir James Jeans, the scientist. In another statement he says, a man cannot crook his little finger without affecting the fixed task. When you move a finger, even the distance task, millions and millions of light waves away, knows it. That means once you get enlightened, you develop the sensitivity of the universe by becoming part and parcel of the universe. By the eradication of your limited self-identification. That sensitivity, that consciousness of the enlightened mind is beyond knowledge, beyond all limits. Unenlightened mind has only limited knowledge. That knowledge is limited by time and space. Even an expert knows a certain area, a limited area of things. Even a historian can know only a limited period. Even our knowledge is limited to a certain period that we know and a certain area that we know. That extreme sensitivity, it is not acquiring knowledge. It is not acquired knowledge. Knowledge is past. Our knowledge is not only limited but distorted. We acquire knowledge through our sense organs. The capacity of the eye to see things is limited. You can't see atoms or subatomic particles. When you see a jumbo jet flying far away up in the sky, you see it as a bird, but that is not the real size of the jumbo jet. The sun or the moon we see as small plates. That is not the real size. Even our nose, we can't smell, even what a dog can smell. All our sense organs are limited, and only what our sense organs with their limited capacity tells the mind is known to the mind. That means our knowledge is limited, our knowledge is distorted, our knowledge is not real. That means in our knowledge there is more ignorance than knowing. Even an expert, when you think of his knowledge, what he doesn't know is much more than what he knows. we can know very little. Unknown to us, what is not known to us, is unlimited. Knowledge is limited, knowledge is distorted, knowledge is confined to our brain cells, brain, our mind, our body. It is the body, it is the sense organs in the body that gather knowledge and retain, saved in our brain, which is also limited, and knowledge is limited. Wisdom is beyond knowledge, but the knowledge or the mind of an enlightened one, the Buddha, is beyond that. But that doesn't mean Buddha knows everything. That he knew how to make an atomic bomb. He knew how to make a jumbo jet. He knew how to make ships. No. He was not concerned with the knowledge. But his knowing capacity is beyond knowledge. Therefore, the omniscience of the Buddha is not the omniscience of the God in different religions. They say God knows everything. But the Buddha is not interested in knowing anything. There is no necessity for him to know anything, because whatever necessary, whatever that is essential, whatever that should be known, can be known by the Buddha. Parijñeyam parijñātam. Only what is essential. And even what is taught to his pupils, only what was needed for enlightenment. Knowledge is limited. Knowledge is what is known. What is known is of the past. But the Buddha's capacity is knowing the present moment. Present moment is not limited to the present moment, because entire past and entire future is in this present moment. It is called in English eternity of the moment. I mentioned billions and billions of years away, he met the Buddha called Dipankara, but the Gautam Buddha, last Buddha, could see it as if it is happening here and now. Eipasiko Sanditiko. That is the infinite nature of the Buddha mind or the enlightened mind. Our mind is limited and our knowledge is limited. Our capacity to know through our organs. Even the mind is a physical organ based on our brain. And the mind is dependent on our sense organs, eye, ear, nose, etc. to get the information. And the mind can know only the distorted information given by sense organs. Therefore, our knowledge is ignorance, moha. At the Enlightenment, Buddha got the insight into the unlimited space and time at the present moment, at the eternity of the moment. That is called aloko udapadi. Aloko udapadi means there dawn the light, disappearance of entire ignorance. There is nothing that could not be known by the Buddha. That means he developed that capacity, not that he knew everything. He could know anything. And that capacity is called the dawn of light. Dawn of light means the disappearance of darkness, the ignorance. That means the dawn of the insight into space, beyond space and time limitations. That is infinite insight. Buddha's omniscience is infinite insight, not infinite knowledge, as Christians or Muslims or Jews believe to be in the Almighty God. Buddha is a human being, but with this capacity of an infinite mind. Infinite mind means infinite consciousness, infinite sensitivity, infinite capacity to know. It happens by the gradual development of awareness in Buddhist meditation called Samma Sati. Development of sensitivity is the path to enlightenment. Enlightenment means the development or the perfection of the infinite sensitivity. And that is referred to as Mahakaruna. Compassion of the Buddha doesn't mean anything else other than this infinite sensitivity, so that he can become one with anybody else, anything else. Perfect empathy, perfect compassion, perfect awareness. That is the infinite capacity of an enlightened mind that we too are entitled to develop if you tread the path shown by the Buddha for enlightenment. That is by developing our sensitivity. Where there is sensitivity, there is no evil in our mind. We can't harm anybody. We can't harm ourselves. We can't think of anything harming ourselves or others. We can't speak of anything harming others or ourselves. We can't do anything harming ourselves or others. That is the purity of an infinite mind, of an enlightened one, that you too are entitled to reveal within yourself. That mind is hidden in you. It is not something that you achieve from outside. The capacity of the Buddha is in you. The capacity for enlightenment is in you. It is not coming from outside, from the inside. You too have hidden in you the perfect sensitivity of the Buddha called Sabbantat Jnana, his omniscience.